Whoa. I'm fine. I literally almost died, but it's fine. Hey Fresties, welcome back to Wattpad Wednesdays. Today, we're talking all about the thing that got me like 90% of my Wattpad reads probably. Ew, my shirt has a string coming out of it. We are talking all about getting your story featured on Wattpad. I am a Wattpad star. I've won 2 Watties. I've done read for reads. I've self-advertised. Nothing has gotten me as many reads as getting featured has gotten me. And I think a lot of people on Wattpad, a lot of writers assume that you have to, be a star or already be recognized in some way by Wattpad in order to get featured, and I am here to tell you that is not the case at all. We'll get to the requirements and how to submit in a minute, but first, let's just talk about... I always look down at my notes while I'm in the middle of a sentence. Let's describe what it actually means to be featured. So, as you probably know, stories are already promoted all over Wattpad, and this is usually because of algorithms and recommendation modules. I talked about this a little bit in my algorithms video back in the day. Basically, if you read one story and all the other readers of that story have clicked on another story after reading that story, you're probably going to get recommended that story that everybody else has been clicking on. Hopefully that description makes sense. Wattpad sees the type of stories that you read, and it recommends you stories based on that, and based on the stories that other readers with similar habits to you are liking and clicking on. At least I think. Again, Wattpad algorithm, difficult to figure out, but that's my best guess. And it sounds pretty educated, right? But some stories are Some stories are specifically picked by the Wattpad staff to be promoted in specific spaces. These spaces include the Wattpad picks list, being added to a promoted home module on the home screen, and also being added to curated recommendations for readers. So I'm pretty sure that means the lists on certain Wattpad verified profiles, like the teen fiction profile or the romance profile. They often have reading lists that they curate, and if people go to the profile, they will see your story on that reading list. Now, these promotions last for a limited time, and there is no specific amount of time for how long your story is promoted, but they say that they want to maximize your story's potential for success, and that a story would not be removed within like a day or a super short amount of time like that. They are going to give it a reasonable amount of time. From what I can tell from the website, I could only find the maximum limits, and it seems like to get put on one of those themed reading lists on one of the profiles like Best of Paranormal or Funny Summer Romance, that type of a thing, that lasts for up to a month, whereas getting on the official featured list promotion lasts for up to 2 weeks. My bangs are looking kind of weird. So let's talk about now the requirements for applying to be featured. Your story can have any amount of reads, any amount of votes, comments, any type of engagement. Like if your story has 0 of everything, doesn't matter. The engagement is not part of the requirement for being featured. A story that has 2 reads and 1 vote could be up on the same list as a story with 1 million reads and 300,000 votes. But there are specific requirements, so let's get into those. The first is care and quality, which basically means no obvious grammatical errors, typos, things that really, take a reader out of the story and distract them. Anything that would make a story difficult to read. This doesn't mean that your story has to be grammatically perfect. It's just they want to see a level of care put into it where this stuff is not glaring and it's just little tiny mistakes here and there maybe. Like, I think that my story got featured because there was an obvious effort that I made to delete any mistakes that I came across. I did my best to really make it as professional as possible. Your story must have a minimum of 10,000 words to submit it, or it must be a completed short story or poetry book. And you have to make sure that that story is marked complete in the Wattpad settings, like when you go to edit your story. So again, if your story is a short story or a poetry collection and it's under 10,000 words, that's fine, as long as it is completed. If your story is like a full-length romance novel and it is not yet completed and you only have 5,000 words, then you cannot submit yet. You have to reach that 10,000 words, but it does not have to be completed. You just have to have 10,000 words. Stories in the random category cannot apply. And if your story is upgoing, it has to demonstrate a consistent, reasonable update routine. I don't know exactly the qualifications for what they consider to be reasonable, but I would say across Wattpad, updating once a week is seen as very consistent. Like, that is pretty much the standard, I would say, among many readers. If you're updating less than that, you know, maybe twice a month, I think that that could still be seen as reasonable. But anything less than that, I would say, might be seen as a little too sporadic. But again, this is just, what the heck is that word? What the heck is the word?
Speculation.
You cannot submit the same story within 3 months. So if you submit it now in April, you cannot submit it again until August? Or would they be counting April, May, June? You can't submit the same story within 3 months. However, you can apply multiple stories. You can apply every single story you have if it meets the previous requirements that I listed. Also, you can only apply your own stories, even if you have a favorite author on the platform and you feel like they really deserve it. Sorry, you gotta tell them to do it themselves. You cannot submit somebody else's stories. But kudos to you for being so nice. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, I get it. How the heck do I apply? It's really easy. First, you're gonna want to tag your story with #featured. Ow, I have like a random headache all of a sudden. So you tag your story with #featured and you have to submit an application. I will link the application down below. It's pretty simple, very straightforward. Individual applications will not receive responses, so when you submit it, you're not going to get like a message back from Wattpad saying anything about it. But if after you submit it, you are selected for promotion, then you might receive a message from Wattpad either through your notifications or your private messages. And on a final note, while the application process is something that puts stories in front of the eyes of the Wattpad team, it doesn't mean that they only find stories to promote through that process. They also might go ahead and feature stories that have never submitted before. I will put the link for the application in the description down below, as well as the link to the place where I got all this information from. So if you want to read it and get a recap of the information, it's down there for you, or you can rewatch the video. Again, I think that getting featured is possibly the most underrated form of promotion on Wattpad. Like, if somebody was gonna say, oh, should I put my effort into self-advertising or should I put my effort into meeting the requirements to get featured and then applying, I would definitely say scrap all the self-advertising that you're doing and just write, get those requirements down and then submit your application. Because if you get featured on the homepage, that is going to boost you so much. At least that's how it happened in my experience. Whereas self-advertising, it works. I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but the effort that is needed for that, when you're already going to end up meeting those requirements someday anyways, I would say just try to speed up this process and don't even worry about anything else. You know, Read for Read's advertisement. I am a promoter of that stuff because it does work, but featured is much more important. It's much more, wow, that was really articulate, important. Featured is really going to make a much bigger difference. So focus on that first, and then all the other stuff can come after. Like I said, I have won 2 waddies now, and I really expected both times for there to be just a huge boost in my numbers. Like, I expected it to kind of blow up a little bit, and while it's definitely helped my numbers, it has done nothing compared to what getting featured on the homepage did for me. When I got featured on the homepage, I think I got somewhere around 200,000 reads. When I won a Wattee, I want to say my most recent one boosted me around like 50,000 reads. The one before that probably did about the same, but that one has been longer now, so maybe it's more around 100,000 by this point. So yeah, if you're gonna put your effort into any sort of like program on Wattpad, any sort of like, oh, should I try out for Wattpad Stars, or should I try out for getting featured? Or, you know, if your time is really strapped and you can only reach for one goal, dang, those birds are loud. I would say go for featured if you are looking to get higher numbers. I have also been featured in the lists on specific profiles, and I will say that definitely does help, but it is not as helpful as getting featured on the homepage. If you get that homepage feature, relish in it, because It is probably the best type of promotion that you could ask for on Wattpad. I hope all of that was helpful. If you like more... What? If you want more Wattpad tips, feel free to subscribe or check out my lengthy playlist of Wattpad Wednesday videos. And this is actually going to be a little segue into just a little chat section here. I kind of wanted to talk to my Foresties, my subscribers, about the way that I'm gonna be sort of changing Wattpad Wednesday a little bit. I'm also talking about this in this week's vlog, but I just wanted to say that the more recent Wattpad Wednesdays have not felt very genuine to me. Like, I think some of it has to do with the fact that these past few have been very much advice videos and not like experience related videos, so I've just been kind of reading off of the website, but I feel like a lot of the personality has definitely been absent, and I want to take Wattpad Wednesday back to how it started when I first started doing it and I had more of the humor and more of my personality in it, because that made it more fun for me and it just felt more genuine. Like, I feel like the past few videos have been videos that anybody could have made. I'm gonna try to bring more of the funny elements back into it. Hopefully I did while editing this video, so you already saw those. But yeah, vlogging has kind of re-inspired me into like why I love making videos so much, so I'm trying to get back to that and bring again the personality back into it. If you have requested a video, don't worry, it's still coming. I am a little backed up with my writing right now, so I'm trying to focus on that, so I don't know how often Wattpad Wednesdays will be. Thanks for being a Frasty. Thank you for being a Frasty. Feel free to follow me on Instagram if you want to get to know me more, or my author Instagram if you just want to know about my books. I really need to post on there more. I hope I will see you guys in the next Wattpad Wednesday or a vlog, and yeah, thanks for hanging out. Oh my god. Oh, thank goodness. He is there. The freaking pause button for my filming is over him right now, so I was like, did I forget to have him in the background this whole time? He's here. Always.